Once upon a time, there lived a couple named Adora and Chuki. They had been married for 5 years, but their once warm and inviting home had now turned into a battlefield of words following the visit of Chuki's mother. It had been 3 weeks since Chuki's mother arrived at their home, and Adora was struggling to cope. While Adora woke up early every morning to clean the house and get the children ready for school, her mother-in-law slept until 10 a.m. When she finally woke up, she expected Adora to have prepared breakfast for her before leaving for work. At first, Adora tried to overlook it. She reminded herself that Mama was an elderly woman who deserved respect. But as the days passed, resentment began to fester like an untreated wound. Each morning, as she rushed to prepare breakfast for her mother-in-law, while ensuring the children were ready for school, she would glance at her husband, who sat in the living room, scrolling through his phone, completely oblivious to the burden she carried. Adora was furious. No one was willing to help. Finally, she lost her temper and yelled at Chuki, accusing him of being insensitive for refusing to hire a housekeeper. Chuki, without thinking, snapped back, calling her lazy. "Only lazy and useless women hire housekeepers," he said. "Why would a young woman like you complain about stress this early in the morning? How hard is it to make breakfast and get just 2 children ready for school?" Adora stood there, watching as Chuki walked away, smiling at his phone as if her worries were nothing more than background noise. That was the final straw. She felt a sharp pain in her chest, not just from exhaustion, but from the realization that her husband no longer saw her struggles or felt her pain. She clenched her fists, her breath coming in short, angry bursts, as Chuki disappeared into the bedroom, leaving her alone with her mother-in-law's demands and her own simmering frustration. That night, as she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, Adora knew she had to make a choice. She could continue living like this, unappreciated, unheard, and drowning in responsibilities. Or she could take a stand. The next morning she woke up earlier than usual, but instead of rushing to the kitchen, she dressed up, packed a small bag, and left the house. By the time Chuki woke up, Adora was nowhere to be found. At first he assumed she had gone to work early, but when his mother started complaining about breakfast, he reached for his phone to call her, only to realize her number was switched off. Their children were still asleep, and Chuki had no idea what to do. He hurriedly got them out of bed, prepared them for school, and tried to make their lunch when his mother strolled out of her room, yawning and demanding breakfast. Chuki's head pounded as his mother's voice felt like a hammer against his skull. "Where is my breakfast?" she asked, stretching her hands toward him. His heart raced with anger. He barely looked at her as the children pulled at his trousers, asking for their school shoes. The kitchen was a mess. His shirt was soaked with sweat, and the smell of burnt plantain filled the air. His mother clapped her hands in irritation. "Where is that wife of yours? Has she finally lost her mind, sleeping while the whole place is in chaos?" Chuki sighed and revealed to his mother that Adora was gone. He tried her number again, but it was still switched off. The children tugged at his trousers again. "We're late for school," they reminded him. His mother sighed dramatically as she sat on the couch. "You see what I was saying? This is the problem with modern wives. No patience, no endurance." She left her home just because of a little stress. In my day, a woman would never complain, even when she was exhausted to her bones. Chuki snapped. He spun around to face her. "Mama, please," he shouted. "Enough!" His mother's mouth hung open in shock. The children froze. Silence filled the house. Chuki had never raised his voice at his mother before, but something inside him had cracked. He looked around. Dishes piled in the sink, the children's lunch incomplete, the house in chaos. He felt like he was suffocating, and his mother was making it worse. After dropping the kids at school, he returned home, exhausted. His mother sat comfortably on the couch, fanning herself lazily. She had made no effort to help. Instead, she sighed dramatically. "You see why I said you should marry a proper wife?" she said. "A woman who knows her duty." Chuki sighed as he dropped his keys on the table. "Mama, please, I don't have the strength for this," he said. His mother smiled. "I have the perfect solution." The next evening, when Chuki returned home from work, he was surprised to find a beautiful young woman sitting beside his mother, smiling demurely. Her hands were folded in her lap, her eyes lowered in submission. His mother beamed with pride. "Her name is Amma, a proper village girl, respectful, hard-working. She will take care of you and the children, unlike that ungrateful woman who abandoned her home." Chuki stared at the girl, his heart heavy with unease. He wanted his wife back, but his pride wouldn't let him admit it. Maybe his mother was right. Maybe he needed someone who would do her duty without complaints. Without much argument, Amma moved in. She was hard-working and obedient. She woke up early to clean the house, prepare breakfast, and even run Chuki's hot bath. The children were always dressed on time for school. Chuki couldn't believe how easy his life had become, but something was missing. The house was spotless, yet it felt empty. His children were fed, but there was no warmth. Then one evening, his mother came out of her room with a pile of dirty clothes and handed them to Amma. "Wash and iron these immediately," she commanded. Amma froze. Her hands clenched at her sides. "Mama," she said, her voice low but firm, "I just finished cooking and cleaning. Can I rest for a few minutes?" Mama yelled angrily. "I need them done now." Amma didn't argue. Instead, she carried the clothes to the back of the house, piled them on the floor, and lit a match. She watched as the flames engulfed the pile. Mama, smelling smoke, rushed outside. When she saw her burning clothes, she screamed, "Are you mad?" Amma turned to her, her eyes blazing. "No, Mama, you are mad." Chuki had just returned home and stood frozen in shock. His mother, red with rage, pointed a trembling finger at Amma. "You ungrateful village girl, how dare you?" Amma laughed bitterly. "You brought me here to replace Adora, thinking I'd be your puppet. But I'm done. I will not be anyone's fool." With that, she stormed into her room, packed her bags, and left. Mama turned to Chuki. "Go after her. She cannot just leave like that." But Chuki didn't move. He stood frozen, realizing the truth. Adora had never been the problem. The real problem had been his mother and himself. For the first time, he took responsibility. He told his mother to leave his home. Then, he set out to find Adora. After months of searching, a phone call changed everything. "This is Dr. Wu from St. Mary's Hospital," the voice said. "Your wife Adora is here. She just gave birth." Chuki's breath caught. "What?" "She has been here for months due to a high-risk pregnancy," the doctor explained. Chuki raced to the hospital. When he saw Adora holding their newborn son, he fell to his knees. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I didn't listen. I failed you." Adora sighed. "You never listened, Chuki. I was drowning." Chuki vowed to change. He hired a housekeeper, managed the home alone for a month, and finally, Adora returned. Marriage, he realized, is a partnership, one built on teamwork, empathy, and mutual respect. The lesson? Never undermine the struggles of others. Respect, support, and teamwork are what make a home truly happy. Hope you enjoy the story. Please support me by like and subscribe, and turn on your notification for more exciting story. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.